Well, well, well. Here we go.
Here we are.
Here we are again.
Yeah.
So here we are with, once again, an offering. Buffalo Trace. Mash bill number 1. We're just going to go ahead and, there you go.
Dust that one off.
Yeah. So guys, I'm beyond excited about this guy. Just pouring it just starts to set it off. This is a crazy whiskey and a crazy bourbon. I'm excited to open you up. If you haven't had Colonel Taylor before, there's lots of variations of Colonel Taylor. You can always tell the difference based on the color. So they're all in these nice little containers. Really cool packaging, super historical. But your signatures and your printing is going to be in slightly different colors based on what it is. Your small batch is red. And this is something that I think if any of the E.H. Taylors that I think that you're going to get your hands on as you're kind of out there and looking about, this is probably the one. But you got to be prepared now. It's just really, really skyrocketing in prices. Whiskey continues to be, I was watching an investment video the other day, and a guy was talking about the expense of whiskey versus, or the increase in price of whiskey as an investment versus different types of stocks and bonds and different types of investments you can have of collectibles. And it's like 456% increase over the last 5 years. So this is one of those that is continuing to become harder and harder for you to source. So when we were able to get our hands on some, we did so with the intent of sharing it with you, because I don't want this to become a whiskey you can't get your hands on, or if you don't know better about now, that if you really like it, that you don't go get some, because it's unique. It is complex. This is not an easy to identify whiskey as you drink it. There's a lot of layers and a lot of flavors, and everybody's going to do a little bit something different, but it's a lot of fun. So
it is. Matter of fact, I had opportunity to source some of this recently. I went on a golf trip with my dad in Nevada, and we do this every year. We go play 36 holes over 2 days with a bunch of guys, and ran into a Costco in Nevada, and they had it available.
Costco find is kind of
it was unbelievable.
Never underestimate your local Costco. They have buying power beyond many. And
it was a limit, 1 per customer.
Yeah.
And it was at a really good price point that is pretty unheard of, but at the same time.
And it made me wish that we actually bought your bottles at that price. We did not.
No, we did not.
But I don't care. I don't care because it's worth the price anywhere south of $80.
For sure.
It's worth that 100-fold. Or not 100-fold, but it's definitely worth that. So a little bit of story. Again, you have a really cool history about the story of Colonel E.H. Taylor in your tasting card. But one of the things I wanted to use, and we talked about using this guy, is the introduction of what bottled and bond means.
Absolutely.
So there's kind of a new thing for the tasting.
Which is technically a government term.
It is a government term.
Yeah.
It's a negotiated term from the whiskey makers and the government that was kind of, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours kind of thing.
I think it's the only government term that is out there that's considered a requirement.
I can't think of another.
Either.
So bottled and bond simply means this. It was an agreement as the making of whiskey was becoming more and more prevalent, and it was becoming everybody's got their own whiskey. Certain whiskey makers were looking for, how do I make my whiskey premium? How do I say it's something that is better than those that are being made elsewhere, right? This was before a lot of the definitions that from state to state had to kind of define what made it a certain thing to put on a label. So they needed the government to step in and kind of say, like, well, listen, here's what we're going to do. We're going to dictate, and it's also like so many whiskey makers will now say bottled and bond is a gimmick, right? It's a gimmick. To be bottled and bond is just to throw a bottle and bond on there to advertise for it and to ask more money for it. But back in the day, it was a way of distillers being able to show what I'm worth. Because now there's some rules of what you're putting in that bottle, and we're comparing apples to apples.
Well, it was also put together because people were taking shortcuts. And a lot of distilleries and folks were coming out with different kinds of whiskeys back in the day that they claimed to be one thing and it wasn't. And they were watering it down and they were charging a premium price for it. And the big distillers got upset about that and said, listen, we're doing the right thing. We're putting this together with what it's supposed to be. It's written on the label, but other people aren't playing the game fairly. And that's where the government steps in.
So now the distiller's game becomes apples to apples competition of, so here's what we're going to say you can do. It has to be one distillation season. So everything that you're putting in that bottle has to come from the same year. Correct. That you distill. One distillery, and it has to all be done at one place, and one distiller. So
it has to be 100 proof.
And has to be cut to exactly 100 proof.
That's right. And back in the day, there was actually government officials that were at the distilleries making sure that this was happening and inspecting them regularly.
The warehouses were bonded.
Correct.
So if you ever had a business or you do whatever, you have to have somebody come in to work at your place at night. You're like, well, you have to be bonded.
Yeah.
It simply means that you are almost like insured.
Interesting. The video that we did before this with larceny.
Yeah.
John Fitzgerald was the one who was that guy who was sampling off of all of the barrels, and he was the guy that was making sure that things were bottled in bond, and
he was doing the inspections,
sipping off the premium.
Yeah.
And then now you have Old Fitz and you have larceny. But anyways, that was an interesting story. Tidbit to that.
I was waiting for you.
Well, coming around to it.
But no, so bottle and bond, aged at least 4 years to 100 proof, one distillation season, one distillery, one distiller. So now there's no more buying juice from over here, and this different type of mash bill, this time, and blending to make something. This is a distiller's test almost, right? Of putting out there something that is special and unique and almost replicable. Like every distillation season is going to offer like if you think about winemaking and what seasonality and things do to your crops and how that changes things, it's the same thing with whiskey making. And so it's a testament to the distiller, in my opinion. Again, if done truly, it's no longer just like this gimmick to throw your label on there. You start kind of comparing these year over year, and there's a reason there's a release, is because every season is different. Every distillation year is different. But this guy, again, is a massively complex, extraordinarily delicious base juice to branch out into the Colonel Taylor world. Yeah. So here we go with Colonel Taylor and your Buffalo Trace mash bill number 1. And pause. I need to pause because I don't know if they actually.
I'm not sure it's Buffalo. I'm not sure it's Trace number 1.
It is mash bill.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. So, all right, but I wanted to make sure what that meant from a mash bill standpoint. Yeah.
Well, that means Buffalo.
No. So 3, 2, 1. And that mash bill number 1 means that it's a 10% or less rye. So last month for the society, we poured Eagle Rare, which is a brethren to this guy.
Correct.
But not the same. That's a blended, that's a single barrel, and it's a 10-year-old. Yeah. But it is not restricted to the bottled and bond label. Correct. And all the constraints that has.
Well, it's a true small batch.
Oh, yeah.
Compared to Eagle Rare, which doesn't quite claim small batch.
Well, no, Eagle Rare is technically single barrel.
Well, yes. Exactly.
So yeah. So it is a beyond small batch, but a way different way of making the juice. So this guy has a super complex kind of nature to it because it's not that giant flavor bomb the same way that Eagle Rare is. It's not blended to be ultra sweet, ultra charred, all things. It's got a really kind of great color to it, but it is a bit more perfumey and.
Well, it's a little more. It's got a little bit more heat to it as well because it's obviously bottle to bottom, which is 100 proof.
Yeah.
Which Eagle Rare, I believe, is 90. And,
Yep.
So that you've got that going for it. But at the same time, it's one of those bourbons that you probably need to sip a few times to really enjoy the complexity of it.
I think I threw in the tasting notes. This is one that I think 3 to 5 minutes in a glass before you start. Letting it open up and letting it breathe a little bit is something that I think really helps this bourbon out.
When your first sip is always going to be a little heat and it's going to be a little hot and you're going to think to yourself, whoa. But after a couple of sips on this and then subsequently as you pour yourself another glass or two or three, it's really going to open up and it's going to become, I think, very flavorful. For me, it's always a little bit sweet. But I always go to the sweetness, but I think that's just more of the maybe vanilla and the fruity kind of flavor.
Yeah, it's got some depth to it for sure. But unlike I think like the Eagle Rare or like some of its other mash bill brethren, really has a different delicate nature to it. You get butterscotch and you get. I said in your tasting.
A little raisin.
Well, on taste for sure.
On the taste.
Yeah, but you get that rose or floral.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit perfumey, and that's not natural and typical to some of the other 100 proof, whiskeys you're going to get out there. So you're going to start off with some butterscotch and some rose, some milk chocolate, all in the opening nose. Oh my god, it's so good.
It's so good.
And listen, I think if I had just started drinking bourbon and I sipped on this guy first, in my first 3 months of ever having real bourbon and pouring, it might be a little much. It might be a little hot.
Absolutely.
It might be a little, but for me and where I'm at, and I think this is just absolutely beautiful and so complementary to the flavors. It's just absolutely delicious.
Well, and my favorite part of it all is not just the beauty and the complexity of the bourbon; it's the way it's packaged. I mean, you mentioned this earlier. I mean, from what it comes in to the bottle itself and the detail of everything. There's a reason why people are paying a premium price for this, and it's probably well worth it. But at the same time, you're definitely paying a premium price.
Well, yeah. The history of the juice and the history of the distillery are not lost in the packaging.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really makes it feel a little bit more authentic than something that was just kind of slapped with a really fancy label. And I got gold embossed tri-layer graphics, the bottle simple, it's a wine shaped bottle, something learned by, again, if you read my history on Pappy and the history of Buffalo Trace, partnering with Cordy Brothers, this grocery store here in Sacramento, the leaning towards simple wine shaped bottles was something that was kind of pressed upon by Mr. Cordy himself. So I like to see the history in this guy. I like to see the labeling and the tradition kind of carried through. Pause, because I need to get the tasting notes. Yeah. So, and hang on before you look up, and just let me know when you're ready. So with that is like you get into the body of it itself, and that's where you start to get some of that dried raisin.
Yeah.
That vanilla starts to kind of fold in a little bit. Yeah, the charred oak, you get some of that wood from it. Yeah. Those middle body notes of that are undeniable. They're very identifiable. but none of them like punch you in the mouth. They just kind of roll through, and you can taste it, but it's not overwhelming. And then look, you're going to have a pretty long finish. Tobacco. This is one that once it does sit for a while, or once the glass is empty, you're going to get some of that Grandpa's pipe tobacco.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. The good stuff always does.
You know, some of that leather baseball glove kind of note. And then actually unique to this guy is a little bit of kick on the back end, and I call that the white pepper. So again, so when you think about all the things we said butterscotch, milk chocolate, rose, and then you get into dried raisins, charred oak, vanilla.
I mean, it blows your mind as
white
you think
pepper,
about it.
leather, tobacco. And these aren't like subtle.
Talk about a flavor wheel.
You taste them. You taste them
Yeah,
all.
you do. It's unbelievable.
Without any of them hitting you over the head with it.
Yeah.
And so, for me, for under $100, it is amazing. I think this is a great bourbon.
It's a great bourbon. And it could be a little bit difficult to source.
It can be at times.
It's a popular bourbon.
It's getting harder and harder.
It's getting harder.
I remember
and the price points are going up.
Yeah, I remember when I used to kind of find it, and it's like $79. I'm like, F, man. Like, I don't know if I can still pay $79 for this. And then you really keep drinking, you're like, man, it's worth $80 all day long.
For sure.
But you don't have to if you find it in the right place. But for the most part, you can also, if you go online and try to buy it, it's going to be $140. So.
Oh, minimum.
So listen, this isn't like you're trying to impress somebody, and so I'm paying this amount. This is I'm trying to impress you because this is an incredibly complex, incredibly layered, without being too sweet, without being too spicy, it's not a one-note bourbon. And also year to year, it's going to be different because of the bottle and bond piece.
Sure.
So it's super exciting. I actually texted him a picture here a few weeks ago of me having the barrel proof.
Yeah.
Which absolutely rocked my world. For being a barrel proof and in its blue label was so sweet and
I've never had it.
Yeah.
But that was a thirst trap.
Yeah. But this guy is something that we wanted to share because I think it is attainable. You'll be out. You will see it occasionally. And if you can get this guy I say back of $85, but reality is getting to be back of $100.
Yeah.
I think it's a good buy at that place.
Yeah.
Because of just what it is. And this can become this isn't, even for us, this is not a daily drinker.
No.
And even just because we have some bottles of it doesn't mean we just, I cherish this too much to just pour it,
It's a special occasion kind of pour.
Yeah.
We sample a lot of different bourbons and we enjoy a lot of different bourbons, but for the most part, bourbons like this is more of a special occasion type of thing.
Yeah.
But we wanted to bring it to the Fox and Pheasant Club because it's important that you get the opportunity to try really good bourbons that we enjoy.
And get it now.
Are still available, that we want you to go out and source because the price point's right now. But this is the kind of bourbon that is going up and up and up in price. And if you can get it now and you know what it is and you understand the profiles and you like it, source it, buy it, get it, stockpile it.
And then if you want to splurge from there, then you can start getting the other variants of this,
Sure.
And then you can find that stuff.
Sure.
But
although this is the least expensive of the group.
It is.
And the other ones, if you can find them, they're hard to find. I mean, some of the other ones are a little bit more challenging to find. But if you do, pick it up.
Yeah.
Make it part of the collection.
All right. Well, guys, listen. We're having a lot of fun. We're having fun finding different offerings for you that kind of explore different palettes, different histories. I think that going into next month, my own evil twisted mustache version of me thinks that going into November we might really kind of switch gears.
We might.
And kind of provide something that's completely out of left field for you. but for the Fox and Pheasant, I'm not sure because it is November and it's time for Thanksgiving.
And you need something special.
It's a romantic time for me.
Yes, it is.
That is a
too.
special time for me. So
Yeah.
I guarantee you this, no matter what, I'm not sleeping on what we're going to provide for you for November because it is my favorite month of the year. It is my birth month. It is Thanksgiving. It is family. But fall is bourbon. And so for me, I can't get too far off the tracks because it's going to be a special month. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope you enjoyed the Colonel Taylor. I know we did and we are. And we look forward to, again, finding and sourcing something for you cool for next month. So cheers to you all. I hope you are enjoying everything. And please make sure you tell a few friends going into the holidays about what we're doing. We make a great holiday present.
That's right.
Here's our shill. Here's our shill.
Yeah. The supply chain sucks.
Yeah.
So if you need a quick gift or you're looking for something to give to somebody that you love, that loves bourbon, that would enjoy something like this, I'll tell you, a membership to what we're doing. This is curated bourbons that we find that we enjoy.
Yeah. And we have a 1 month society membership too, just for the holidays. So,
but the year is much better.
For sure. Well, it's way more enjoyable. It's way more of a better value. You know. So,
yeah.
But either way, guys. Hey, listen. We really appreciate you all. Look, we all know you personally for the most part. So so we appreciate you. We love you. Cheers to you all, and we'll see you soon.